Hello students, how are you all? I hope that you are fit and fine. You know that we are doing lesson number 5, The Happy Prince, and this is second video of this lesson. Let's start this lesson. He ordered the swallow to pluck out one of them. उसने swallow को order दिया कि मेरी आँखों में से एक सफ़ायर जो है उसे pluck करो एंड टेक इट टू द प्ले राइट और उसे किसके पास मिलने जाओ, उस यंग प्ले राइटर के पास मिलने जाओ. ही विल सेल इट टू द ज्वेलर्स, उसे ज्वेलर्स को सेल कर देगा, बेच देगा. एंड बाय फायरवुड, उसे फायरवुड खरीदेगा. एंड फिनिश हिज प्ले, और अपना प्ले फिनिश करेगा. ही सेड, प्रिंस ने स्वेलो से कहा. डियर प्रिंस, said the swallow, I cannot do that. swallow ने कहा प्रिंस से कि मैं ऐसा नहीं कर सकता. एंड ही बिगेन टू वीप, और वो क्राई करने लगा. कौन? swallow, रोने लगा. एंड ही swallow, little swallow, said the prince, do as I commanded you, कि तुम वैसा ही करो जैसा मैं आपको कमांड कर रहा हूँ, ऑर्डर दे रहा हूँ. सो द swallow plucked out द प्रिंसेस आई. swallow ने प्रिंस की आई के अंदर जो सैफायर था उसे प्लग किया. एंड फ्लू अवे, और उड़ गया. टू द यंग मैन्स गैरेट, यंग मैन के गैरेट की ओर. व्हाट इज मीन बाय गैरेट? गैरेट मीन्स स्मॉल डार्क रूम एट द टॉप ऑफ द हाउस. इट वॉज ईजी इनफ टू गेट इन, और अंदर जाना बहुत ही ईजी था. एज देर वॉज ए होल इन द रूफ, क्योंकि रूफ के अंदर क्या था? एक होल था. थ्रू दिस ही डार्टेड एंड केम टू द रूम. डार्टेड मीन्स पुश्ड हिमसेल्फ इनसाइड. छत के अंदर जो होल था उससे स्वेलो अंदर चला गया. द यंग मैन had his head buried in his hands. यंग मैन ने अपना हेड किस में बरीड कर रखा था? अपने हैंड्स में. सो ही डिड नॉट हियर द फ्लैटर ऑफ द बर्ड्स विंग्स, इसलिए यंग मैन ने स्वेलो के विंग्स की जो फ्लैटरिंग साउंड थी वो नहीं सुनी. एंड व्हेन ही लुक्ड अप ही फाउंड द ब्यूटीफुल सैफायर lying in the withered violet. And when he looked up, जब उसने देखा ऊपर की ओर, he found, उसे क्या मिला? ब्यूटीफुल सैफायर मिला. कहाँ पे गिरा हुआ था वो? withered, dry violets, फ्लावर के ऊपर. I am beginning to be appreciated, he cried. This is from some great admirer. Now I can finish my play. And he looked quite happy. Appreciate means to praise someone, किसी की प्रशंसा करना. When the boy saw the beautiful stone, he felt that some admirer, some person who praised him, had sent a gift for him. So he thought that with this he could now finish his play. The next day, the swallow flew down to the harbor. Harbor means seaport. He sat on the mast of a large vessel and watched the sailors walking. I am going to Egypt, cried the swallow, but nobody minded. And when the moon rose, he flew back to the happy prince. Next morning, the swallow bird flew down to the harbor and sat on a mast of a ship. He spoke loudly that he was going to Egypt, and when it was night, he flew back to the happy prince. I have come to bid you goodbye, he cried. I have come to bid you goodbye, he cried, and Swallow cried that he had come to say goodbye. He was going to Egypt. Swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince, will you not stay with me one night longer? And once again, Happy Prince requested Swallow to stay with him for one more night. It is winter, answered the swallow, and snow will soon be here in Egypt. The sun is warm on the green palm trees, and the crocodiles lie in the mud and look lazily about them. The swallow said to the happy prince that the winter season had started, and after some time it would start snowing. The weather in Egypt was warm, and even the crocodiles lay on the mud lazily there. So he told him to let him go to Egypt. In the square below, said the happy prince, there stands a little match girl. She has let her matches fall in the gutter, and they are all spoiled. Her father will beat her if she does not bring home some money, and she is crying. She has no shoes or stocking, and her little head is bare. Pluck out my other eye and give it to her, and her father will not beat her. Now, this was the third assignment. The happy prince said that there was a match girl. She was a little girl. She was a little girl, and all her matchsticks had fallen in the gutter and got wet. All her matchsticks were spoiled. So she could not sell them, and she would not earn any money. And when she would go home without money, then her father would get angry and beat her. For this reason, the girl was crying. Further, the happy prince said that she was not wearing shoes or stocking, and she had not covered her head. She was very poor, so he said to the swallow to take out another sapphire from his eyes and give it to her so that her father did not beat her. I will stay with you one night longer, said the swallow, but I cannot pluck out your eye. You would be quite blind then. Swallow agreed to stay with for one more night, but he refused to take out another sapphire because if he did that, then Happy Prince would be blind. हैप्पी प्रिंस ब्लाइंड कैसे हो जाएगा? क्योंकि वन सफायर तो उस यंग बॉय को उसने जो कि प्ले दिखना चाहता है उसे दे दिया. अब हैप्पी प्रिंस कह रहा है कि मेरी आंखों में जो दूसरा सफ़ायर है वो भी जो माचिस बेचने वाली लड़की है उसको दे दो, क्योंकि उसकी सारी माचिस है वो वेट गीली हो गई है, वो कोई पैसा अगर नहीं कमा पाएगी आज, और अगर वो बिना पैसे कमाए घर गई तो उसके फादर उसे पीटेंगे. लेकिन स्वेलो ये कहता है कि मैं आपके पास में वन नाइट को स्टे करूँगा, लेकिन मैं आपकी आँखों से दूसरा सफ़ायर नहीं निकालूँगा, क्योंकि अगर मैंने ऐसा किया तो हैप्पी प्रिंस क्या हो जाएगा? बिल्कुल ही ब्लाइंड हो जाएगा. स्वेलो स्वेलो लिटिल स्वेलो, said the prince, do as I commanded you. Again, Happy Prince told Swallow to do what he had ordered him. So he plucked out the prince's other eye and darted down with it. Darted, I told you earlier also, pushed himself inside and darted down with it. he swore past the match girl and slipped the jewel into the palm of her hand. What a lovely bit of glass, cried the little girl, and she ran home laughing. Swooped, swoop means fly very low. So finally the swallow obeyed the happy prince's order. He took another sapphire stone from his eye and flew to the little match girl. And when he saw the match girl, he bent very low and kept the sapphire stone on the little girl's hand. The little girl was very happy to see the stone and she went home happily. जैसा प्रिंस ने स्वेलो को ऑर्डर किया, स्वेलो ने वैसे किया. उसने उसकी आंखों से दूसरा सैफायर निकाला और किसको दे दिया? उस लिटिल मैच गर्ल को दे दिया. Then the swallow came back to the prince. You are blind now, he said, so I will stay with you always. When Swallow returned to the happy prince, he told him that now he was blind and so he would stay with him forever. No, little swallow, said the poor prince, you must go away to Egypt. But happy prince said to the swallow that he should go to Egypt. No, I will stay with you always, said the swallow and slept at the prince's feet. But swallow refused and said that he would stay with him only, and he slept on the prince's feet. All the next day, he sat on the prince's shoulder and told him stories of what he had seen in strange lands. The swallow used to stay along with Happy Prince all the time and used to tell him the stories of the different places that he had visited. Now the Happy Prince is blind. सो स्वेलो जो कुछ भी स्वेलो जहाँ पे भी जाता, जो कुछ भी देखता, वो सारी स्टोरीज किसको बताता था? हैप्पी प्रिंस को बताता था. डियर लिटिल स्वेलो, सेड द प्रिंस, यू टेल मी ऑफ मार्वलस थिंग्स, बट मोर मार्वलस देन एनीथिंग इज द सफरिंग ऑफ men and women. There is no mystery so great as misery. Fly over my city, little swallow, and tell me what you see there. Happy Prince said to the swallow to tell him wonderful things, but added that nothing was more wonderful than the suffering of people. No mystery was bigger than sadness, and he wanted to know who all were sad in his kingdom. So he asked the swallow to go and let him know what he saw while flying over the city. The happy prince said to the swallow to tell him wonderful things, but added that nothing was more wonderful than the suffering of people. No mystery was bigger than sadness, and he wanted to know who all were sad in his kingdom. So he asked the swallow to go and let him know what he saw while flying over the city. So the swallow flew over the great city and saw the rich making merry in their beautiful houses, while the beggars was sitting at the gates. He flew into dark lanes and saw the white faces of starving children looking out listlessly at the black streets. So the swallow flew and took a round over the city and saw that the rich people were living happily in their beautiful houses, and they were partying while the poor people were begging and sitting outside the gates. Then he went to the dark lanes where there was no light also, and the poor people lived. There he saw that the children were hungry, due to which their faces had turned white. Under the archway of a bridge, two little boys were lying in each other's arms to try and keep themselves warm. Further, the swallow saw two little boys under the archway of a bridge. They were lying much close to each other, so that they kept themselves warm. They were so poor, they did not have food, so they were trying to keep each other warm. How hungry we are, they said. You must not lie there, shouted the watchman, and they wandered out into the rain. Two children were starving. दो बच्चे भूखे मर रहे थे and wondering that how hungry they were. Just then a watchman appeared and scolded them. He shouted and made them go away from there. The poor children kept wandering in the rain as they were homeless. Then he flew back and told the prince what he had seen. Swallow went back to the happy prince and told him what he had seen in the city. I am covered with fine gold, said the prince. You must take it off leaf by leaf and give it to the poor. The living always think that gold can make them happy. The happy prince told Swallow that his whole body was covered with fine gold. He could take tiny pieces of gold from his body and give it to the poor people in need. All the living beings required money, and when they would get gold, they would feel happy. Leaf after leaf of the fine gold that swallow picked off, till the happy prince looked quite dull and grey. Slowly, the swallow took out the gold layers from the statue of happy prince, and as he removed the layers of the gold, the happy prince's statue started looking dull and grey. Leaf after leaf after leaf of the fine gold he brought to the poor, and children's faces grew rosier and they laughed and played in the street. We have bread now, they cried. As the statue of Happy Prince, as the statue of Happy Prince started looking dull and grey, the children grew happier because through it they were getting food to eat. Then the snow came, and after that snow came the frost. Finally, it started snowing, and when a lot of snow fell, everything froze. The streets looked as if they were made of silver. Everybody went about in furs, and the little boys wore scarlet caps and skated on the ice. Everyone was wearing clothes made of fur. Small children were wearing red color caps and were roaming here and there. They were skating on the ice. The poor little swallow grew colder and colder, but he would not leave the prince. He loved him too well. Swallow bird was feeling very cold, but he kept on sitting near the happy prince's statue. He did not want to leave him because he loved the happy prince. He picked up crumbs outside the baker's door when the baker was not looking and tried to keep himself warm by flapping his wings. The bird did not want to die, so he used to go to the bakery where the baker used to bake the bread, to eat the breadcrumbs, and tried to keep himself warm by flapping his wings. But at last he knew that he was going to die. He had just enough strength to fly to the prince's shoulder once more. The swallow was aware that he was about to die. He had only enough strength to fly back to the statue of Happy Prince, and he says, अब स्वैलो को ये एहसास हो गया था कि वो ज़्यादा टाइम तक जिंदा नहीं रहेगा, क्योंकि अब उसके पास कोई उसमें कोई स्ट्रेंथ बची ही नहीं थी. अब वो ये सोच रहा है कि मेरे अंदर सिर्फ इतनी स्ट्रेंथ है कि मैं एक बार उड़ करके स्वैलो के शोल्डर तक जा रहा हूँ, बस कि मैं एक बार उड़ करके सिर्फ स्वैलो के हैप्पी प्रिंस के शोल्डर तक जा सकता हूँ. इसके अलावा इससे ज़्यादा स्ट्रेंथ मेरे अंदर और नहीं है. But at last he knew that he was going to die. He had just enough strength to fly up to the prince's shoulder once more. The swallow was aware that he was about to die. He had only enough strength to fly back to the statue of Happy Prince, and he says, "Goodbye, dear prince," he murmured. "Will you let me kiss your hand?" Now, when this swallow is about to die, he says to the happy prince that, "Can I kiss your hand?" "I am glad that you are going to Egypt at last, little swallow," said the prince. Happy Prince thought that the swallow wanted to go to Egypt, so he said that he was happy that finally the bird was going to Egypt. "You have stayed too long here, but you must kiss me on the lips, for I love you." Happy Prince said to the swallow that it had stayed there for a very long time, and now it should go to Egypt. It wanted the bird to kiss its lips instead of the hands because the statue loved the bird. "It is not to Egypt that I am going," said the swallow. "I am going to the house of death." Death is the brother of sleep, is he not? And he kissed the happy prince on the lips and fell down dead at his feet. The swallow bird said to the happy prince that he was not going to Egypt, but to the house of death. He added that death was a brother of sleep. He kissed the happy prince on his lips and fell down to the feet of the happy prince and died. At that moment, a curious crack sounded inside the statue, as if something had broken. The fact is that the leaden heart had snapped right in two. It certainly was a dreadful hard frost. As soon as the bird died on the happy prince's feet, an unusual sound came out from the statue. The sound was of breaking of the statue's heart, which was made of a lead. The heart broke because of the death of his beloved bird, but it is said that it was so cold that the heart broke into two pieces. Early the next morning, the mayor was walking in the square below in company with the town councillors. As they passed the column, he looked up at the statue. Dear me, how shabby the happy prince looks, he said. Shabby, shabby means untidy. The next morning, the mayor of the city, along with his councillors, was taking a round of the area where the statue of Happy Prince was erected. And when he crossed the statue and looked up at it, he said that the statue of Happy Prince looked untidy. How shabby indeed, cried the town councillors, who always agreed with the mayor, and they went up to look at it. The councillors always agreed whatever the mayor used to say, so they also asserted that the statue looked untidy. The ruby has fallen out of his sword, the eyes are gone, and he is golden no longer, said the mayor. The mayor noticed that the ruby stone which was placed in the handle of the sword was missing. The sapphires from the statue's eyes were also missing, and the layer of gold from its body was also missing. In fact, he is little better than a beggar. Little better than a beggar, said the town councillors. The mayor said that it seemed as if it was a statue of a beggar, and the town councillors agreed with him. And here is actually a dead bird at his feet, continued the mayor. We must really issue a proclamation that birds are not to be allowed to die here, and the town clerk made a note of a suggestion. Proclamation means order, rule. The mayor noticed that a dead bird was lying on the feet of the statue. Then he told the town councillor to pass an order that birds were not allowed to die on the feet of the statue, and the town clerk made a note of the suggestion given by him. So they pulled down the statue of the happy prince, as he is no longer beautiful, he is no longer useful, said the art professor at the university. The art professor of the university said that now the statue of the happy prince did not look beautiful and was not useful anymore, and so they should demolish it. Then they melted the statue in a furnace. Furnace means a fireplace where metal are melted. So they melted the statue, which was made of a lead, in a furnace. What a strange thing, said the overseer of the workmen at the foundry. Overseer means supervisor. Foundry, workshop for casting metal. What a strange piece, said the overseer of the workmen at the foundry. Overseer means supervisor. Foundry means workshop for casting metals. The supervisor of the foundry saw a strange thing. The broken lead heart will not melt in the furnace. We must throw it away. The heart of the happy prince's statue, which was broken into two pieces, was not melting in the furnace. So they threw it as it is in the dust heap. So they threw it on a dust heap where the dead swallow was also lying. Coincidentally, they threw the heart of the happy prince where the dead swallow was also lying. Bring me the two most precious things in the city, said God to one of his angels, and the angel brought him the leaden heart and the dead bird. God asked one of his angels to bring him the two most precious things of the city. The angel brought the two pieces of heart of the statue and the dead swallow bird. You have rightly chosen, said God, for in my garden of paradise this little bird shall sing forever more, and in my city of gold the happy prince shall praise me. God said to the angel that it had brought the right thing. It had chosen the right things, which were indeed the most precious things of the city. He said that the bird would always sing in the garden of his paradise, and the happy prince would stay in his city of gold and admire him. Thank you, students. Read it again and enjoy this story. Thank you.